Hello traders, today is January the 15th, Saturday, January the 15th, 2025. I'm going to start the video with Affirm. Keep in mind, this content is not financial advice, it's for educational purposes only. Taking a look at this chart right here, it looks very good in my opinion, yet I do think we might actually get a little bit of a pullback maybe this week, who knows. And if that is the case, you're probably going to come into this level of support at 71.4, and if that breaks, you're probably going to come into, I added to my chart the EMA 21, and I think you are probably going to encounter that EMA 21, and if things get even worse, you might break the anchor VWAP, and at that point you're basically going to be filling this gap. Now, let's focus on this level first. I think if there is a little bit of a reversal on this name, you're going to come down towards 71.4. And by that point, you know, these indicators right here, the lower indicators, the MACD, the Williams indicator, and also the RSI are going to be in a different, are going to look different. They're going to catch up a little bit with the stock. So for now, this still looks strong. I think in the long term, this is probably going to continue going up towards probably 100, I think, within the next 6 months or so. But for now, I think it's a little bit extended. Let's take a look at the weekly, and then we move on from this stock. Yeah, it looks a little bit extended. Well, it looks extended. I shouldn't say a little bit. And it might have a little more to give, to be honest, to the upside, but don't be surprised if we get a little bit of a pullback towards 71.4. Now let's take a look at AVGO, and let me take a note here before I move on. So AVGO is not looking bad at all, to be honest, and that's why I'm trying to mention AVGO right here. It's right on top of the 35 SMA, which is this green line right here, and then you have this line right here, which is a 21 EMA. It's not looking bad at all. I actually think that if we catch a little more of momentum, we're going to move towards 250, 252, and then continue going into price discovery. Volume on this area is not bad, especially if you come over 240, then you're going to have an easier time going into resistance at 252. We'll see what kind of behavior we have. We are neutral on the MACD. The Williams percentage range indicator, which is this one right here, you know, is very sensitive, so that is why it's pointing down. So I wouldn't be too worried about this. And the RSI is also pointing down towards the signal line. But in my opinion, I think if we get a little bit of momentum to the upside, we're going to move easily towards 252, and then we have to keep an eye on resistance and see if we get rejected again. But AVGO is not looking bad at all. Keep this name on your watch list. Let's take a look at very quickly. Let's take a look at Caterpillar, and I'm just looking at this name for one reason. Just, you know, it broke the 200 SMA, which is this line right here. And last time it did, it came to this level. So it broke the 200 SMA, and then it had this nice move to the upside. Now we have a reaction here. Let's take a look right at this level. So you can obviously see a double top here. But now we can maybe argue, are we starting to see a double bottom? Maybe. I would love to see this name breaking the 200 SMA and breaking resistance before I actually feel comfortable entering this name. The level of resistance is 65 at 365.4 or 365.5, and at that point you're going to be meeting the 21 EMA and then very close to the 30 SMA. So we'll see what happens. But the only reason why I'm mentioning this is because I think it's worth keeping an eye on how this is behaving right under the 200 SMA and see if there's going to be a continuation towards support or maybe a continuation towards resistance. It all depends how we break on the 200 SMA if we actually get to that point. MACD and the Williams percentage rate range they're not looking terrible. Again, we have to see what type of reaction we get from here. and the RSI is just right on top of the 30 level. So we'll see. I think this is interesting. I added some notes to cut just because I want to see what type of reaction we get on this level right here and what type of reaction we get right under or above, or not above, but right on top of the 200 SMA. Now let's move on to Dell. Actually, where is it? Okay, let's talk about Dell. And Dell had some news on Friday, yesterday, and it was interesting. I think Elon Musk wants to buy from Dell, and that is about a contract of $5 billion, I believe, and that actually pushed the stock very nicely to the upside, right in the middle of the day. This is the 5-minute chart. Now, if I think if we continue going over this level of resistance, we might actually move very nicely towards the 200 SMA, right where you have this level of or this volume shelf right here. Nothing looks overextended on the lower indicators. Again, this indicator right here is very sensitive, so if you see it over this level right here, it's not worrisome in my opinion, or actually it's not worrisome. MACD is under the 0 line, is catching more momentum, obviously the momentum that we got yesterday, but we just have to break resistance. This name is looking quite interesting, and it's definitely gonna come into my watch list for next week. I just want to see how we react at 414.5, I believe is my level of resistance, or almost 415. But yeah, you're right above the 325 SMA, right on top of the 21 EMA, right on top of the 30 SMA. That is actually very good. You have a very nice candle here that has a lot of volume and has momentum. So we'll see. Next week might be interesting for Dell. Keep it in mind. Now let's talk about, I'm going to talk about two names at the same time, and that is FedEx and UPS. And the reason why I'm going to mention both is because, you know, you had this type of reaction here. And I think this was when UPS had earnings. So FedEx actually had a sympathy reaction, a negative sympathy reaction to the earnings of UPS. It came down, and now you saw this move to the upside. Now you had something very similar going on back on these earnings right here on, how was it, July, in September. And you had this massive gap, and then you had a very nice comeback. Now let's take a look at UPS, and this is exactly why I want to mention these two names at the same time. If I could find UPS. So you had this reaction after earnings. You have this, it shouldn't be here, this massive gap right here. And you're starting to come back. Now the MACD is just about to meet the signal line right here. Williams range, percentage range indicator is moving very nicely to the upside, and very slowly as well, which is not very common. And then you have the RSI also doing the same. They're all behaving the same way. I think there might be some opportunity here. So I might actually get into this name. There's no liquidity here. And you have this gap right here that can easily take you all the way up to 126, you know. But it's definitely, if this keeps continue with this type of momentum, you're probably gonna hit 122 in the next few weeks. Again, MACD and, well, the lower indicators are looking pretty decent, very well, very good. The MACD is looking very nice. Let's take a look at the weekly. Yeah, the weekly on the MACD, well, it's pretty much neutral, but then you have this move right here on these two indicators, on the Williams and on the RSI. The daily chart looks pretty good. Let's take a look at the 4-hour. Yeah, this is not bad at all. It's losing momentum on the 4-hour though. Okay, well, keep an eye on this name. I'm definitely keeping an eye on this. I think it's looking pretty good on the daily chart. Again, you don't have a lot of liquidity in this area all the way to 122. And then after that, you can, I think in my opinion, you can actually move towards 126. I'm not saying that this gap is going to fill or we're going to meet the 200 SMA. I think we're far from it. But the fact that this name, the fact that we saw something very similar on FedEx back in September is telling me that we might see that type of reaction. We are seeing the same reaction here on FedEx. Also keep an eye on how FedEx is behaving right under the 325 SMA and the 30 SMA. This green line right here and this other line right here. Just keep a good eye, a close eye on this. This is looking very interesting. MACD is also looking very nice. Well, I'm adding FedEx to my watch list as well. So UPS and FedEx to a focus list. Now let's take a look at our friends of HIMS. This is a name that I've been covering forever, I guess, since May of last year at least. And I stopped. I haven't done videos in the last 2 weeks. I've been super busy, but I think the last time I was mentioning HIMS, we were somewhere around here. What I was saying, and go back to those videos if you want to, is that you had a very nice looking double top. You're also in range between 29.7 and you were all between 29.7 and 23.5. And after that, you had this beautiful move. You mounted the 21 EMA, you mounted the 30 SMA, and at that point, you just started running. Once you mounted this indicator right here, you just moved. Now, to be honest, it looks a little bit exhausted, especially in this indicator right here, which is the Williams percentage rate indicator, and it's kind of sensitive to price action, but it could be very telling as far as where a stock is going. And I'm sorry for the background noise. My dog is snoring in the background. So you are right now at price discovery. I do still maintain my price target of on the 75 area by the end of the first quarter. So I think we're gonna get there, but this thing has to cool down. It looks very extended. Look at the MACD, look at the RSI. Let's go to the weekly, and that is gonna give you a little bit more of a picture. You're still descending on this. So if you look at this, you were up here at minus 3.46, and now you are at minus 12.88, and you're still lower at 9.56, minus 9.56. So it's descending a little bit. It's losing momentum. I think it's a little bit exhausted. Now, don't be surprised. Like, I wasn't expecting this move of 27% on Thursday. Then on Friday, you actually had a nice cool down, much lesser volume, but it was a Friday as well. So we'll see what we get next week on Tuesday and see how we move, if we continue this move to the upside. But to be honest, it looks a little bit extended. We saw something similar on these candles right here. You still continue moving to the upside, but then you lost a lot of momentum. And this peaks right here were also telling you a picture. You were losing strength on the move. The histogram was also telling you the same thing. Strength was going away. Now the histogram here is telling you something completely different. There is more momentum here. So, right now I would just, be cautious with HIMS. But this move has been outstanding. If you guys had shares, options, or whatever, and you play this name as I did, well, congratulations. This has been fantastic. I wasn't part of this move right here, but I was part of most of this move right here. So, and this thing continue going up. And don't be surprised. Maybe you get more green next week. But at one point, this really have to give you a little bit of a, it's going to need a breather and maybe come down towards maybe 44 or find some sort of support in this area right here. So there's where we are with HIMS. But what a beautiful move. And I think this actually has more to give. Hood as well has, in my opinion, space to go, room to go towards 85. But HIMS, I'll give it $10 more by the end of the quarter. Now, keep in mind, you also have, I forgot, you also have earnings coming on the 24th. We'll see what kind of catalyst that becomes. But if the earnings are, good as they have been, this thing is just gonna go through that price target of 75, like no problem. What a fantastic move. Now let's move on to I have PayPal. So where are you? Let's take a look at PayPal. And it's looking interesting. Look at this. Right on top of the 200 SMA. It came under support. It claimed support. Well, it claimed this level of support. It was resistance, turning to support, and now it's support again. You're right on this volume shelf right here. I think this has momentum to continue going up towards 81. I'm definitely gonna, I shouldn't say definitely, but very, very, I'm definitely contemplating entering PayPal for next week. It's not looking bad. Just look at the lower indicators; they are looking pretty good, and I love the fact that it's actually moving very nicely, right on top of that 200 SMA. It had this breather, which was very necessary in my opinion after this very nice move. We've been following PayPal since this range right here. Then you had this move, you had this gap right here after earnings, but now it looks like it's gonna start moving up. So very nice for PayPal. I think I might actually jump into this. And again, this is gonna be on my focus list for next week. Now let's take a look at where are you? I didn't mean to click that. Let's take a look at SoFi. And after I take a quick note, SoFi is also looking good. So it got to this level of support right here at 14.5. And now we are mounting the 30 SMA and the 21 EMA at the same time. Now MACD is looking really good. RSI is also looking good. You don't have anything, it doesn't look bearish at this point. You had a very strong move to the upside on Friday. You went up 6.71%. Let's take a look at the 5-minute. And you had this nice move, quite consistent, to be honest. Let's take a look at the weekly. The weekly is also not looking bad for what it is. This is looking good. I think we're going to hit 17 maybe next week. You are right on top of this level of liquidity, which is a volume shelf right here. So we'll see how we behave next week. It's a short week next week, but still, I do believe that we have something brewing here for SoFi. Your level of support is 14.5, and your level of resistance right now is 17.3. But again, the fact that you're mounting these two indicators right here, the 21 EMA and the 30 SMA, are very telling. You're also right on the limit on this volume shelf right here. So you're about to enter a level that has less liquidity, and once you break 17, then you can start moving to the upside. I do have calls on SoFi. They are September calls, and so far they are looking pretty decent. But I think I'm gonna let this run and maybe start trimming once we get to resistance, and then I might let the other half run and see where it lands. But this is not looking bad at all. Now let's go down and take a look at NVIDIA. So look at this. We came down. We broke under the 200 SMA. You broke a few levels of support. 117 was one of them. And at one point, I thought we were going to hit 110, but we didn't. Right after this level of 117, you start moving back up. You claimed back the 200 SMA, and at that point, you have been moving very nicely to the upside. You had a very big gap right here, which is about to be filled probably by next week. We'll see what we get next week. We're still very reactive to headlines market-wise, but it looks like we're probably going to hit 141 pretty soon. I don't have any positions on NVIDIA, and I haven't had one since we had this move right here. So I was playing, was I here? Yeah, I was doing this whole thing right here. So that was pre-Christmas, during Christmas, and after that I left. But one of the things that I like a lot is, and you're mounting the 21 EMA, you're mounting the 30 SMA, and this white line right here is the anchor VWAP from this candle right here. You're mounting all of them. You're mounting this level of resistance at 135, 136. And you are about to go over a level right here, which is 41. After this key level, you have less liquidity, which means that this name might continue moving to the upside with ease, and you might encounter yourself at 150. MACD is not overextended. The RSI is not overextended. This is not looking bad at all, you know, and it looks like the MACD right here on the weekly is starting to curl. The RSI is also not looking bad on the weekly. So NVIDIA is looking pretty good. So keep that in mind. All right, let's move on to the last name of the day, and that is going to be Tesla. And well, let's take a look at what's going on with Tesla. I've been following Tesla for the last 2 weeks very closely, and it seems like this move is getting to a point of exhaustion. Nothing is for certain yet, but I do think that we are getting to a level of exhaustion. Back on some of my last videos, I was saying that if you break 365, you're going to continue going straight towards 330, and we did. We actually went lower. I was quite concerned when we were breaking this level at 330, because at that point, you know, nothing really could stop you towards 315 or even, you know, 300, which could have been an opportunity to buy Tesla. But it seems like news and I guess headlines are cooling down a little bit, and things are moving slowly to the upside. You have a low level of liquidity here between 350 and give or take 385. So you might have a continuation there. Once you get to 385, if you do, you're going to be mounting that 21 EMA. You're going to be very close to the 30 SMA, and you're going to be right under the anchor VWAP. So we'll see what happened there. I think next week is going to be quite interesting for Tesla. Let's take a look at the weekly. This is a nice weekly candle. This is not looking bad. So technically speaking, Tesla is not looking bad at all. The MACD is under the 0 line. You know, the distance between the MACD and the signal line is decreasing, as you can see here in the histogram. You know, we just have to break this level of resistance at 365, and then we're probably going to move with a little bit of ease towards 415. We'll see. Next week is going to be critical, I think, for Tesla. Well, that's all I have for today. I'm probably going to have another video coming on Tuesday. But other than that, please subscribe and like the video. Thank you very much. See you next week. Bye-bye.